Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service, and this is our first ever live stream. It's the first time we've ever tried to do this before, and it's important. We're trying to reach more people to try to explain what our nonprofit organization does. Before we get started this evening, and before I start answering some questions and helping people solve some financial problems, I definitely want to go into a little bit more of an introduction about us. A Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service was started in 1992. In fact, we turned 30 years old on July 1st. 30 years old on July 1st. It's hard to believe that time has flown that fast. But what we are is a nonprofit organization that is working with you and your creditors to help solve financial issues. We are funded by your creditors. A lot of people don't understand that part. But we are, as we work with the creditors, they do allow us grant money and some fair share contributions for us to do exactly what I'm doing right now. And that's to try to help you solve your financial problems. And financial problems comes in all different types of shapes and sizes. I mean, we've all seen some major debt shows and debt credit shows and repair shows and all these different things that are out there. But the only thing that truly works is for me to put myself inside your shoes and to try to figure out a plan out. And that is by far the best way I know how to solve problems. And that's what we've been doing for 30 years. So what to expect with a debt coach is very simple. What we have is counselors, certified counselors waiting for you to find out what your situation is, to go over your income, to go over your expenses, to see what your debts and situations are, and try to create a plan for you. And that way we can give you some options for you to decide what to do going into the future. And that service is absolutely free. People get fear. They see the word counselor and they think, oh no, it's like a marriage counselor. Oh, I don't know, a therapist. Well, we're none of those, although we have been marriage counselors before. You'd be surprised what debt does to people. But in the same breath, I want to say, hey, we're here to help. You know, it's up to you to take that first step to reach out to a debtcoach.org or to call us at 888-767-9155. It's about you. And if you reach out to us, then I'm able to help you. So what I'm going to try to do is go over a few things while we do these live shows. And I'll be uploading different videos throughout time to try to educate and to assist people. But what I really want to do is have you give me a call. Or go ahead and reach out to our website and just go ahead and click up a message or just set up a time. And that way I can actually reach out and help you with your situation so we can get some concrete answers to solving your problems. Now, like I said, we're 30 years old and we haven't changed much over the last 30 years. We still nonprofit. We still work directly with the creditors. We still do budget boot camps. We still do educational seminars. In fact, our next budget boot camp will be virtual. We're going to go virtual for the first time on July 6th. And there'll be information sent out on my links for this course. Now, this will be thorough budget training. So if you're interested in budget training and looking for different things in that caliber, to help get your life and your situation set up and going forward for yourself, then I highly recommend you join us in our budget boot camp. Like I said, the next one will be July 6th, and we'll get that information out to you through our social sites. Now tonight's a little different than most, even though it's our first ever video that we've ever done, and my head keeps going blue and green, and we keep you're going to see every error possible trying to get this first video done. But tonight's about dealing with today's nightmare. We're in a world today that I've never experienced in my lifetime. I've never experienced. Now, don't get me wrong, I am 55 years old, and I do remember the 70s when we ran out of gas. My father owned an ARCO station at the time, so I remember that clearly when cars were lined up down McDowell in Arizona trying to get gas, and we were running out of it left and right when we had our first inflation situation that really conquered this country. And a lot of that was due to the Vietnam War and bringing people back and trying to get things reestablished and get things going again. What raised the inflation as high as it did? And that brought us Ronald Reagan, which, as we all like to say, is one of the best presidents we've ever had, at least in my opinion. But then again, he was my first president I really understood. So that kind of goes both ways on that one. But, if you look back at inflation, our inflation today is totally different. It was created by a pandemic. Yes, a pandemic actually kept us home. It shut down stores, it shut down manufacturing companies, meat plants, trucking, shipping, name it, you name it, it all got shut down so we could try to get COVID under control. Now, was that the right response to the action? Hindsight's always 2020. We can always look back and say we could do something different next time. And I think that's what's happening now. We're still in a pandemic, but we're also a lot more freer now. We're able to, to go out and visit people and do the things that we like to do, which is another reason why inflation is high. Now, before, just to get started, the biggest problem we really have today is really not the cost of food and cost of gas. It's the lack of employees. A lot of people lost employees when the first COVID situation happened. A lot of people were paid to stay home. And people chose the unemployment check because it was much higher than they were making at work. And they decided to stay home and start new lives. Truckers got a chance to stay home and see what their families were like, a chance to see what they're missing. And they decided to do new careers. And then all of a sudden we have a lack of truckers. And we have a lack of manufacturing people. We have a lack of people everywhere. In fact, I'm on the board of the Better Business Bureau, and one thing we had a meeting about the other day is we don't have enough staff to even assist the Better Business Bureau right now. That's how bad it is out there. Now, unemployment rate's at an all-time low, but that doesn't really mean anything anymore because a lot of people fell off the unemployment when the time frame ended, and they're no longer part of that stat. That stat's based on how many people are actually filing for unemployment in the last 30 days, and that's what that percentage is based off of. But a lot of us went self-employed. A lot of us decided to do something new with our lives. And unfortunately, we're dealing with the repercussions of that. Groceries are high. Why? Because gas is expensive and it costs money to ship and get the groceries to you. It costs money to pay your employees. It costs money to pay everything nowadays. Insurance premiums are higher. Utilities are higher. Rents, mortgages. Well, I don't know about mortgages, but rents are higher. Everything has gone up. And it all falls back to one little thing. It's called supply and demand. And we have a lot of demand right now out there for what we're trying to accomplish. We have nothing but loads and loads of demand and low in supply. Today we see our gas prices running somewhere around $4.98 a gallon, maybe $5.17 on a national average, which is every bit of $2 too high. And we all agree with that. But it is what it is because we don't have the manufacturing or the capacity to actually convert oil into gas, to refineries to get this thing done. This is a lot of our issues. And the more oil we pump today to try to solve this problem, you're looking at 6-7 months before it even trickles down into your gas tank. So it takes time to get this to turn around. And a friend of mine who's running for office out in Arizona, his name's Kurt. He's a really good guy. And he told me that he believes that we should be energy independent. And I agree with him, but to be energy independent, we need to be prepared to pay $3.50 gas, a gallon of gas. That's something a lot of us aren't used to. A lot of us are coming out of 2018 when the price of the barrel of the oil dropped to below $37 negative. And we wound up seeing our gas prices right around $1, and we thought, wow, this is the greatest thing ever, but it really wasn't. What it did is to shut down all our oil wells because we couldn't afford to produce oil anymore. This created a shortage, which starts to grow, and it's grown ever since all through 2021, and now that we're in 2022, demand is high again. So that's why gas prices are high, and I honestly don't see them falling anytime soon. Maybe by winter we might get a little bit of reduction. The federal government's talking about eliminating the federal tax on gas to try to lower it. Well, that's a savings of a whopping 18 cents. I mean, we'll take it, but unfortunately that sacrifices our roads and all the different things in our infrastructure that money goes to. So there's always a yin and a yang and a problem and a situation that we're always dealing with. So what I'm here to do is try to help people solve this situation. Because if you take gas, you take groceries, you take your utilities, and you take rent, the average American's spending about $350 more per month than anything else, than they used to be, especially back in January. I mean, I can actually go back 5 months and write this up. So trying to, with everything costing us $350 more a month, it's got to come from our budget somewhere. And if we're not working a budget, that's probably going to be step number one. Now, what I want to say to you guys is very simple. The government has gone out of its way to get us to lower our demand, to try to get us to stop doing the things that we're doing, to stop buying things, to stop spending money. And unfortunately, we don't seem to be listening. And we're still out spending money and doing the things that we need to do, that we want to do. Back in the day when I used to learn sales, there was a few great salesmen that taught me a lot of things. One guy's name was Tom Hopkins. Another one was Zig Ziglar. Really excellent when it comes to sales and the art of sales. But the one thing about it is they always told us that there's a need and a desire and a want. And a lot of us today live in our needs or live in our wants and desires and override our needs a lot. And we need to get back to that. We need to get back to the basics of our budget. We need to get back to the basics of our lives. And the way to do that is to start planning ahead. Now, over the next 30 days, I challenge everybody out there to keep receipts. Hang on to your receipts from everything you spend and start writing this down into your budget. It's important because we need to track every dime we see going out so we can make the changes in the coming up months to make sure we can get it right. Like with groceries, if you're going to the grocery store 3 to 4 times a week because you're reacting to the day, you're actually wasting money. If you planned ahead and scheduled your grocery trip out and you were able to get with the family and figure out what everybody wants to eat, you're able to take advantages of all the coupons, all the savings, all the sales because you know what you're going for. You're not reacting to the day. And that, my friend, will save us a lot of money alone. And then, of course, utilities. Utilities are kind of going up, and it's never been a better time ever to put them on a prepaid plan or to put them on a PIP plan, which is basically pay the same amount every month. If you've been in your rent or your mortgage for the last 12 months, it's a good idea to try to set these up so we can make your budget more standardized and not more higher in the winter and summer and lower in the fall and the spring. We could try to spread that out to make it a lot easier to handle. Debt. Debt is now eating away at our budget. In fact, debt is starting to become the supplement income that we're losing towards all our inflationary situations. I'm noticing a lot of people now are getting through the month and they're short, so they're going to go ahead and use a credit card to go ahead and finish off some groceries or some different things that they are, because to them, that's money that's available. But that really isn't. That is borrowing money. And with the Fed rate rising over the last few months, interest rates climbing, especially on credit cards, especially on equity lines, this is not what you want to be doing. This is how you start wasting money and start spiraling yourself out of control towards bankruptcy. We don't want that. At a Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service, we work with people on all 5 ways of resolving debt. There's contractual, there's a debt management plan, there's debt settlement, there's bankruptcy, and there's also asset liquidation, which is actually number 2. I should have just put that up there, but I was a little out of order. Like I said, welcome to being live for the first time. You might make some errors. But the one thing is we also got to get back to what's truly our lives. There's only 3 things we want to use our credit for, and that is a mortgage, that is an auto, and that is student loans. We don't really need credit cards. Now, it's not, I understand credit scores, and we'll have shows over FICO and what's the best way to solve your FICO scores and try to get you the maximum scores and stuff. And yeah, credit cards does come into play with that. But that doesn't mean we have to use them. I don't have a problem carrying credit limits. It makes me look good. It's that balance divided by my credit limits that I'm worried about. In FICO, 35% of your score is based off of debt weight, which is your balances divided by your credit lines. And if your credit lines and your balances go over the amount of 30%, you're going to start seeing your score drop. And the higher it gets to 100%, the lower your score is going to go. And this is very important for people to understand, because we're trying to survive today, but we're also not trying to create a future problem for tomorrow. So I highly recommend to everybody, if you've never done a budget before, please join my budget boot camp on July 6th. Let's break down the skills. You might have the skills. You might have excellent budget skills, but if they're not in practice, they're just skills. I mean, I like to do carpentry work, but I don't do it that often. So every once in a while, I look pretty stupid doing it because I have to recheck everything 3 to 4 times till I trust myself to do it right. And that's just lack of practice. The same thing goes with budgeting. Budgeting is just basically controlling your money to make your life easier to handle, to take the stress out of your shoulders, take the stress out of your marriage or your relationship. We don't need this pressure today. We got enough pressures going on. So controlling your money is by far the best option you could do. And it's one by far I said, by far twice. See, I said by far twice. Can you believe that? See, I'm not really used to just going freeloading, but I'm not also very good at reading off scripts. So we need to get control. And the best way to do that is to start now. If you have a budget going on with yourself, take the next 30 days and add up the expenses that you're doing. If you go to the grocery store, get a receipt right on the back. It was groceries. If you go to a convenience store, right on the back what it is. If you're pulling money out of an ATM, on the back of the receipt, right on the back of the receipt, why you pulled the money out of the ATM. Cash is a killer for us. If we carry cash and use cash and we don't record cash, it's money thrown out the window. It's money lost. We did an episode back last summer about finding lost money. And a lot of that came from just basically tracking it. And by tracking money, we realized that we're finding $50, $60, $80 a month that's just wasted. And we're able to calculate that back into our budget and be able to focus on our future, and everything really goes fine. Budgets is like a habit. And unfortunately, we all live by habits. We are the habit-driven human beings of this world. Everything we do is a habit. How we get up, what we eat, how we exercise, if we do, how we speak to people, frustrations, all of that is part of habits that we're either not going our way and it makes us upset, or it's going our way too good that we get the euphoria that we think we're completely in control. And unfortunately, neither one of them are true. Habits are hard to break. Now, this is something I learned a long time ago. It takes 22 days to start a habit. It takes 66 days to create one for good. Now, if you want to break one, you have to go the other way. So I challenge you guys over the next 30 days, every day, to write down what you spent your money on. Right on the back of the receipts. Put it in an envelope. That way, at the end of the month, we know exactly where every dollar went, and we can put it into our future budget. And then we can make changes. A lot of us like to overreact with our budgets. We think, well, we're going to cut out cable. Really? You're going to cut out cable, or you're going to cut out entertainment? There's things that we got to live with. We have to make our lives enjoyable. So it's kind of crazy when a lot of people say, I'm cutting this out, I'm cutting this out, I'm cutting this out. The first thing I'm asking you to do is find out where all your money goes, because you might find cuts in different places that you didn't even know existed. And that's where Budget Boot Camp's really going to come into play to help you. And I look forward to helping you guys on July 6th. Now, habits versus budgets. That's what we're going to talk about when we come back. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to run a quick commercial for you to pay some jump When we come back, we're going to jump into habits and budgets.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Randy, we have gotten so much great information from you previously. You're a debt coach. Tell us what a debt coach actually does for people.
Well, for starters, we'd like to put ourselves in your shoes. Take a look at your overall expenditures, your budgets, your debts, and try to create a plan to help you solve it.
So are you like a counselor? I mean, you're nonprofit, which I think is a huge point to make here, because
we're paid by creditors to actually help you. And
so they can get this advice and this guidance for free.
Absolutely. All day long. The object is reaching out and getting the help. And a lot of people see the word counselor and they think marriage counselor and all these other things. I'm more of a debt strategist. I look at your overall situation and I give you the plan. And yes, I do counsel you to how to get this part done. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is addressing the issue and putting a plan to go forward that works within your budget.
Well, I really like that, a debt strategist, because you're right. You have to have an overall strategy for your finances, especially if you are at a point where you're in trouble. So tell me the actual steps of a debt coach. Like if somebody calls you and they want help, what are the steps or the processes they have to go through?
Well, I'm going to look at their income, their expenses. I'm going to look at their whole entire situation, and we're going to see exactly where they stand. And then we can look at other options, maybe asset allocation, maybe looking at the budget and the income, or debt management plan, or a debt settlement plan, or God forbid, bankruptcy.
So whatever their particular situation requires.
Exactly. Whatever's the best solution to solve it. Because there's no sense trying other people's opinions. You might as well go for the facts.
Yeah. So is it as simple as just making the phone call to you?
Or go on my website and just book an appointment. All I'm asking for is about 5 minutes of your time just so I can figure out exactly what you're going through so I can help you.
Well, I know there's a lot of people who could use that help right now. Thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Welcome back. First of all, you're probably asking yourself, why would I want to listen to this guy anyways? I mean, what's this guy's credentials? I mean, why is he even going live trying to speak to us? And let me go ahead and just understand one thing. Yeah, I'm 55 years old, and a lot of you young guys are going, wow, he's old school, blah, blah, blah. But it's not really necessarily true. I've been doing counseling for over 30 years. I'm a certified credit counselor. I'm also licensed as an officer with the Department of Justice because we handle all the bankruptcy courses and stuff required for the government. We're affiliated with the Department of Education. We have set up programs through them, through Parent Camp, and working with high schools and working with students to help them prepare themselves for the future. Also, I'm on the board of the Better Business Bureau. And that's credibility alone, because you wouldn't believe what I had to go through to get on that board. But the bottom line is that I have a lot of experience, and I could sit here all day long and just tell you what to do and how to do this and where to go and the whole 9 yards, and it's not going to resonate with you. What will is if you pick the phone up and give us a call. Call 888-767-9155 or go to our website and set up a meeting. Let me see your current situation so that way I can give you some free advice on how to solve your situation. And that's something that we do here at A Debt Coach. And I just want to get that out here so you kind of know, hey, this guy's got a little bit of a background. He knows a little bit about what he's talking about. Unfortunately, I've lived life a lot too. I've been through a few generations of people, and we've been able to see the differences and how it affects. You know, right now our lives are run by the boomers. Boomers control our lives because they're still president. President's a boomer. Last president was a boomer. The elderly seem to control our lives a lot. And as a generation underneath them, we've done everything we can in our power to help them out now because they needed us a lot. And I need the next generations ahead of me to help me as we get to that stage. Because someday we all want to retire. We want to relax in this world. We want to be successful. One of the favorite things I ever learned as a kid, I used to watch Schoolhouse Rock all the time on a Saturdays. I don't know if you caught any of those cartoons or anything, but they always gave us some government education and stuff and everything. But one of the things that was, one of the things our government does promise us is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And let's discuss the pursuit of happiness for a second right now. Because to me, that is by far the most important thing our forefathers said. Because it gives us the opportunity to be anything we want to be. All we have to do is apply ourselves. We have to try. We have to pursue. And over the last few years, we've heard a lot of things about giving up things. Student loan forgiveness, defunding situations, changing situations. And these are not the answers. These are not the answers that we're looking for. What we're really truly looking for is who are we and what is best for us. And that's what's very important. So if you're having financial issues, I'm probably the best person you want to speak to. If you're having issues with marriage counselors are somebody you want to speak to. But we all need to address these issues so we can be better for our future. And let's go ahead and talk about the next subject, and that's going to be habits versus budgeting. Living today versus planning ahead. It's so simple. I mean, you get off work, you're tired, you don't want to fool with things, you want to get things taken care of. Come home, get dinner going on, get things taken care of. You're adjusting to the day, but you're not planning for tomorrow. And the problem with that situation is we have a tendency to spend more on making ourselves feel better for today than feeling really good about preparing ourselves for tomorrow. And a lot of that is habits. So I'm going to, like I said earlier in the previous episode, challenge yourself. Let's figure out a way to break this habit. Stop going to the grocery store. Sit down with your family. Write out what you want on your meals per day. Get your kids involved. There's no better way to teach kids about budgeting than have them involved with your own. Sounds a little scary, but it's not. It's actually a great education. If your kids know what they're going to expect, it takes a lot of pressure off of you. If your kids also know what's going on with your budget, they're not asking for $20 on Friday when they know you don't have it. You take that stress and pressure out. And that's all by just being participant and opening the books with your kids. And yeah, I'm not talking 6, 7 years old. I mean, that's kind of pushing a little bit. I get them involved with the groceries and stuff, but you start getting your 13 to 14-year-olds, they really need to understand budgeting because unfortunately, our high schools are not going to teach them economics. I took an economics course at Coronado High School back in 1982. 82. They haven't had that course in that school in years. They haven't had a course like this in any schools unless you want to go for an elective or you want to go to an advanced course. And a lot of people are just trying to get their credits so they can graduate. But an economics course is something that people really need to understand. And I highly recommend that you teach your kids and teach yourself how to do this. Now, on our website, there's a spot there called Own Your Life. And what that is a budget book that I wrote and created. And it's designed to help you get off the ground starting your budget. And I work with you guys through, and a lot of this will come up through Budget Bootcamp, and I'll be working a lot of it with you guys through this situation. So I just want to prepare you guys for Budget Bootcamp because get yourself ready because we're going to work some budget books, we're going to do some worksheets, we're going to start planning ahead, and we're going to start changing different things. And to me, that's how we're going to solve our problem today. We can't blame one person for everything going wrong. That's insanity. The only person we can blame for our problems today is ourselves. And the way we take control of that is take control of our money, our position, our attitude, and our family. And make sure we took the steps we need to take to make everything better. We don't rely on other people. We rely on ourselves. And that's got a lot to do with planning ahead. When you're relying on yourself and you're in control of everything going on within your family household, planning ahead makes it so much simpler because it's easier to follow steps than it is to react to reactions. You know, I get it. You get home, you're tired, you want pizza, you don't feel like cooking, things in that caliber. But you know, if you planned ahead, that day becomes a more fun day. Pizza movie night becomes a great night because, hey, you get to watch the movie you want to watch and you get the food that you need to eat. And everybody looks forward to it. So trust me on this. You're going to have to start working on planning ahead, and that is a habit you need to create. And the only way to create that habit is to start it. And like I said, if you need assistance with this habit, you need help with this habit, a Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service is there for you. And like I already said earlier, we're not charging you to give you advice and assistance and help. We're here to put a plan, detailed plan, together for you to give you options on what's in the best interest for you. And that is what a credit counseling service does. Now, we're going to have one more commercial here in a minute, and then I'm going to go ahead and answer a few questions that I've received live. And I'm going to go ahead and answer those before we call it a night. But I wanted to thank everybody for being part of this evening with me. We are going to be here every Tuesday night except for July, I believe it's the 12th. I will be out of town that day, but we'll be back on the 19th. It's going to be every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. so I can give my friends out on the West Coast a chance to join in and participate. We have a few technical errors this evening on our first episode, so a lot of people aren't being able to join in the way I want them to. But it is what it is. We'll get ourselves through this. So what I'm going to do is go to one more commercial, and this commercial is about a debt management plan. And this is the one way a debt credit. Wow, there you go, Randy. This is one way a Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service is prepared to help you. Hi, my name is Randy Williams with the Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service. Today I'm reaching out to you about credit card debt. With our budgets being squeezed left and right with gas prices and food prices and just trying to survive, we're having a hard time making substantial payments towards our credit card debt these days. And right now with the interest rates climbing, with the Fed raising everything, getting things to where to stop the demand so we can get under control, unfortunately credit card rates are going to continue to climb, and this is going to make it even more impossible to get out of debt. And that's why a debt management plan is probably the best answer for you. Now, a Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service is a nonprofit organization. We've been around for 30 years and working directly with your creditors with debt management plans. And it is a creditor-driven program. Now, just for an example, what I decided to do was take 10 grand on a Chase account and just see what we can do to give you an idea what a debt management plan can do. And if you notice, we have a $10,000 Chase account here, monthly payments of $250 a month, interest rate of 19.9. Going to a debt management plan, we're able to reduce that down to 2%. 2%. The difference between 2% and 19.9 is actually $18,653 in interest. And you're asking yourself, why is it so much? And that's because your interest rates on your credit cards are ungodly high. And this is at 19.9. We're not even talking about the 20%ers. Now, what we do here at Debt Coach is we work directly with the creditor, reduce that payment, get it down to where you can actually fit within your budget and within your means. As you notice here, the payment drops to $206 a month. We're able to speed the debt up by having the rates lowered, so we're able to do like a rotational speed process as we pay one off and the next off and get things done. But we only have one debt on this situation. It's going to take us 5 years at that minimum number to get us out of debt. Now, you can always pay more. So when things get better, we can always put more towards it and not have to worry about the interest rates being changed. And that's where a debt management plan comes in. So I ask people a lot these days. It's very important to ask yourself this question: is a debt management plan a good idea for me? And the best way to know that is to pull out your credit card statement. If your credit card statement clearly shows a 3-year payment on there, if you can't make the 3-year payment and you have to go for less payment, now you're starting to pay interest, and now you're starting to drag this debt on a lot longer than you really planned. Now you need a debt management plan. And I recommend you give us a call at 888-767-9155, or reach out to our website, which is at debtcoach.org, and you can see all the information and breakdowns of the programs on our website. You can also reach out to us. Like I said, we are a nonprofit organization. We are here to help you, and we don't charge to give you assistance or advice. So please give us a call today. Thank you. Welcome back. Well, we did get a few good questions sent to me through Twitter, and I received another one through Facebook. And we're going to address these questions right now because I actually think they're really good ones. The first one that came up is, what is the best day to shop for groceries? How do you get the most bang for your buck? Well, that's a good question because I like to think Thursdays is my favorite day. And the only reason why I like Thursdays is because every Wednesday the stores usually change their coupons. They change their sales, they change their stuff, they get the Wednesday paper that shows what it is. And that gives me a chance to really work on it Wednesday. So Wednesday's the day I like to set my future up and what days we're going to have meals and specific meals. And that way I got Thursday to work out exactly how to save money on them. Or I use Wednesday's paper to actually set the budget up for the week. So I could look down and see where the sales are and say, hey, we're going to have this on Thursday, this on Friday. Anybody interested? Any suggestions from the family? What are you guys interested in? Hey, look, while there's a sale on this one, we'll go ahead and plan this for Monday. To me, Thursdays are the best days to shop. It's not as busy, in my opinion. It's not as crazy as the weekend. And you still could take advantage of all the sales that you're facing. Another question I got is, how does a debt management plan actually reduce interest rates? That's a really interesting question because you're going to love my answer. Your creditors do it. A debt management plan works directly with your creditors every month. We're set up on agreements with each other. We've been set up on agreements with each other since the 80s. Actually, for us, since 1992. But that's called credit counseling. And what it is basically your creditors out there don't really want to collect individually on debts. You know, they'll do the best they can. They have their collection departments. They have their different things. But what they can't control is other debts. And so they decided to put a credit counseling situation together to where all creditors can come into one play. So I'm able to help you with your Chase, your Citi, your Community, your Shell gas card, your Best Buy card, and all of them able to reduce interest rates across the board with these guys. And that's all approved through your creditors. Yeah, your creditors are the ones that tell me exactly how I can make this happen. This is the reason why it doesn't destroy your credit. It actually gives you a chance to start putting money towards principal instead of towards interest, reduce your debt obligation, snowball the effect, and get yourself out of debt as fast as possible. Because like I said earlier, we only need credit for 3 different things: mortgage, car, and an education. If we're using it for credit cards, we're just supplementing our income and we're creating ourselves future problems. So yes, interest rates are reduced per creditor requirements and request. Gotta love that question. Good question. Budgets. And the question I got here on budgets is, how come budgets always have a tendency to fail? Well, life has a tendency to fail. Everything we do has a tendency to fail. It's a trial and error. A budget is really good if nothing happens in a month. Nothing changes. Everything's just the exact same thing every month. That's a successful budget because we don't have to really think about it. But unfortunately, our groceries are climbing at an 11% rate. Gas is climbing. Everything else is changing. What makes, as we go into the month of July, we're not sure exactly how our budget's going to work for us because we're not sure how to anticipate the future. Because budgets are not very good at that. And that's where a lot of errors come in and frustrations come in. But I promise you, if you do your budget every month, even if you fail, even if you come up short, every month's going to go by. And you're going to start being able to compare month to month, situation to situation, spring to fall, summer to winter, and be able to prepare yourself for these little anticipational glitches. Now, when the inflation finally gets under control and we start seeing the reduction of gas prices and a reduction of food and things across the board, which I pray to God happens any day now, but unfortunately I'm thinking probably 2023 before we really see anything, we'll be able to get better control of it. And that's another reason why I'm asking you to take control of your money. Because if you know where all your money goes, it's a lot easier to deal with today's nightmares than it is to just wing it with the best you can. And our final question this evening is really cool. How do you start a credit counseling service? That was an interesting question because unfortunately we're kind of grandfathered in now. We've been doing this for so long that to get one of these started is virtually almost impossible. First of all, you have to be a nonprofit 501c. That's kind of hard to get these days. On top of that, you got to have banks that are willing to work with you so you can withdraw people's money and disperse funds through the banks to be able to pay bills. You got to be able to be approved through MasterCard so you can do the electronic wires to make sure all the bills are paid on time, all the situations are taken care of. You got to have financial audits. Today was my ISO audit. You talk about boring, but we're talking quality manuals and employee manuals and training guides. We're talking all the fun little things that makes a corporation a corporation. But we have to be approved and certified through ISO. We got to be approved and licensed with every individual state we do business in. And that usually requires sometimes bonds. It requires fees, insurances, errors and emissions, and all the different things. And I figured it out. It runs me close to about $70,000 a year to run this organization on an expense level. Nothing to do with employees, nothing to do with anything else, just to cover all our audits, all our expenses, all our situations that we have to go through, all our compliances. So to have a nonprofit credit counseling service is kind of hard to really start on your own today. But if you're looking for assistance and help with one and you're looking to be part of one, like I said, we also have a staff issue. So you might want to look at your future and maybe send me a resume or some different things and we can discuss a future of helping people and assisting people. And that's basically about the best way you're going to get into a credit counseling situation these days. Because there's associations, there's licensings, there's bonding. I mean, my voice is just losing it when you go through these lists. But by the time you get through it, the bottom line is all I want to do is help you. So all that is worth it to me. Just so I can reach out and help you with your personal situation. And that's what I'm going to leave this with this tonight. I don't know you. You don't know me. The only way we're going to get to know each other is if we get a chance to talk. Your creditors are paying me to help you solve your financial problems. I'm going to say that one more time. Your creditors, that interest you're paying to your creditors, they're giving me some money to help you. They want me to reach out and solve your problems. They want me to work with your budgets. They want me to lower your debt. They want me to get your future lined up. A lot of people wonder, well, my life seems to be going fine, but if you're paying $300 to $400 a month towards debt, imagine what that $300 to $400 a month would do towards retirement. Or imagine what kind of savings you can use with that to get yourself out of the rental situation and get yourself into a house. There's a lot of things that debt, unnecessary, unsecured, credit card, crazy debt does to us. It shackles our hands and forces us into depression a lot, but it also forces us into trying to survive. And we're too good for that. We're good people. We work hard for our money. We don't want to try to survive. We want to live. And that's what I'm here to do, is to help you live. So I'm going to ask you one final time this evening. If you have questions or concerns in regards to your financial situation, please go to adebtcoach.org, set up a meeting with me, or call us at 888-767-9155, and let us have a chance to put ourselves into your shoes. Give ourselves the opportunity to help you solve your financial problems. Now I'll be back next Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Hopefully more people will join me. And I look forward to getting some guests involved. We're definitely going to have some real estate people and some mortgage people and all kinds of different people from the finance industries working with me to help get the education and the power to you to make your life better. I hope you have a blessed day. Take care.